Hi friends, how are you? I hope you guys are all doing absolutely amazing. I do have a few things for you, a couple of things that are still in process, but I wanted to give you an update on them. Um, and then a couple of finished things. One I'm going to include a little more in my whole Halloween fall portion, and then just a couple of little things extra that I was doing. I did much better at making projects when I was just like, what can I make? And I was just randomly coming up with things. Now that I'm trying to think of themed things, it's not as easy, but that's okay. So I said that I was gonna do a backpack with the squares. I do need to still weave in all of my ends, but I did get the bag put together. And this uses 12 of the squares, so then you have basically one extra. And I did get the straps done, but I want to get the ends woven in before I start to do all this, because then after you do that, you will do the flap. And I decided to do it with this one as well. And I did two different types of join. So it had one that was like a slip stitch, and then as you were joining it all together, so it connects all of them in a big old line, right? And then you're gonna wrap it around and attach it to the bottom. So this wraps around, and I will put this in here, so don't feel like you have to try and make sense of what I'm saying right now, because I know I'm really not. But then it had a different join when you were piecing it all together, and I didn't like that. So then it would be you could see this along the outside, and then this would be on the inside, and to me that seemed really odd. So you had some seams out and some seams in, and so I just did them all one way, and then on this I did them all the other way. So this is the join where it's all on the inside, which is what they're telling you to do on the second one, and it's all single crochets on the inside. So I just kind of wanted to see which one I liked better. I'm kind of curious. I won't really see it until I get them all put together, but I almost am thinking that I like this one better. But I will keep you updated on that. So far, that's the only project that I have come up with for the granny squares though. So I really do need ideas for the granny squares, and then once I get those completed, I will show you those. So then the next thing that I did is my son needed a dice bag. And so I was trying to figure out a way to do a dice bag, and it seems like everything I do is half double crochets lately. But you could literally do this any way you want. All I did was do a magic ring and increased until about the size that I want. This was my tester, by the way. And so good old Maddie. So I decided I was gonna make just a little bag for Maddie for my tester, because then I could decide if I wanted it bigger or smaller or whatever for my son's dice bag. And oh my gosh, all I did was, like I said, the half double crochet. Did I say double or half double? What I meant was half double. I don't know what I said, but half double. And then I did half double up. And then I just did a chain, and I did two. So that way I could actually do a drawstring, so it would pull both sides. Now, you definitely could do this with any type of stitch that you want. A double crochet would be good. I don't know what my deal is lately, but I really like tighter stitches. So the double crochet I am just not leaning towards, but it certainly would go a lot faster and possibly even easier. But here's the bag, and since I made one for her, I decided that her baby needed one. So I made a little one for her baby. So all I did was I went down in hook size to make sure that it was actually smaller, and then just out until wherever I thought it needed to go. I did do in the back loop. Yeah, I did do, no, I didn't. I thought that I had done in the back loop to make it go up, but I didn't. I just stopped and started going up. But for this strap, I had chained 100, and then I ended up cutting off a lot, because then I decided it needed to be more like one of these little bags rather than a shoulder bag. So I'm sorry, I can't really tell you how many chains this is, because I just got it to the size that I thought it would be good. I wanted to make sure that it easily opened all the way with just a little bit of extra at the end, and then I just tied a knot on each side and left a little bit of fringy end. But I just thought this was so cute, and then to do one for her baby, because you always need to match your mommy, right? So this is for our generation doll. See, back in my kids' day, it was the American Girl doll. Where I don't know where these were then, because this would have been a whole lot easier, a lot cheaper, and much more accessible. But so that way it'll fit our next generation doll. So that was the next thing that I did. And then working on like the Halloween things, I am like big time into these like bag charms for some reason. I don't know why. And so I did this little combination one with this little ghost and this little pumpkin. Now I did end up putting another little safety eye on for a mouth. My daughter told me she liked a mouth better. And again, I just kind of went at it how I thought. I know this one almost looks like a tangerine, but I like this smaller size. Now you can definitely put in strings to pull in for your shaping, but this I thought was so much cuter with just a little bit. Now I did write down what I did. For once, like I usually am like, I don't remember what I did. I did write it down. If you're wanting to know exactly what I did for the ghost and for this little pumpkin, let me know, and I will type up a pattern for you, because for once I actually did write it down so that I could actually keep it. But I just thought that was just so cute. Okay, so then the last thing, I found this thing for a cup koozie, and I will link this pattern below. They have one that has the bottom, right? And then they have a pattern that does not. So let me tell you some things that I figured out with this. It says to use whatever size hook you need for the gauge. And I did do the I love this cotton yarn, because I thought it would be better to have something a little softer, a little more stretchy. Now this was for like the cans, and I'll tell you, it works out pretty nice. Like I did follow the pattern, and I did do, so it tells you to do a slip stitch after you do your circle, and then to do a slip stitch at the top. So something that I found out while I was doing this is, remember that if you're gonna do a slip stitch at the top, it brings it in, right? Like it won't have a stretch. So that works fine on a can, right? This is perfect. I would kind of check it to see how high up it's going, because I think I did take out a row because I felt like it was way too high. So there was the can. Now this is for the cup, and this was supposed to be one that like, okay, so here I got my cup. It's supposed to be one that just is like the hand, right? So it's not supposed to, it's supposed to come up on the cup. But since I did the slip stitches, it won't stretch at the bottom, right? So it kind of does this little thing at the bottom. Now, I don't hate this. I actually found that I prefer this. But when I got to the top, because most cups end up tapering out, I changed the slip stitch for a single stitch because otherwise it wouldn't stretch around the cup. So just to keep that in mind, these were both done with a 5. Now, again, I decided I wanted something less holy. I wanted a tighter stitch, right? So I went up a half a size. So I did a 5.5 hook because I thought, well, maybe I need, since I'm doing a tighter stitch, I need a bigger hook. And all I did was turn my work for this pattern. So I did half double crochet. I know, shocking, right? And then I just turned my work each time so that it changed the way that the pattern went, which I do like. But since I did this with the bigger hook, now it comes up. So this is with a 5.5, and I'm pretty sure I did still slip stitch, but so this is with a 5.5 and it does come up. So I'm just making sure everyone knows that you can obviously tailor this to whatever you want, but just be aware that if you're doing a slip stitch on the bottom, depending on whatever size hook you're doing, it'll determine where it's gonna go. I did still do a single crochet at the top because I like that it stretches. So then I went back down, I know so many things. I went back down to a 5 and just alternated half double crochet and herringbone half double crochet. And again, since I did a slip stitch on the bottom with the size 5 hook, it does do this little thing on the bottom of the cup, which again, I actually really like. Okay, so there's that. And then I did one more. I feel like I did something off. This one is with a 5. Why did I do one more? This is with a 5.5. Maybe I just changed my stitch. Good grief, Diana. Why do I come on here and do this with you guys? I am so sorry. I was so excited that I had done so many different ways and I could tell you guys all about it. Oh my goodness. Okay. Obviously, this one is tighter, so I feel like this must have been with like a single crochet. No, it's not stretchy. Do you see how this one is smaller than this one? I know I used a 5 on this one. And I'm so sorry. If I figure out what I did, clearly I need to start writing things down again. I did one. I wrote down one thing, the pumpkins and the ghosts, and that was it. But if I figure out what I did, I know that this one was with the 5 and it was with the double crochets. This is alternating half double and herringbone half double, and this was just a half double, and I turned my work each time with a bigger hook. Somebody tell me what I did different. I know I did slip stitches on the bottom. Other than that, I feel like I used a bigger hook with this, and then I went down to a smaller hook with this. But why is this one so much different than this one? Maybe it's not. I'm almost positive that's what I did. I am so sorry. I will link the original pattern down below. It uses the double crochets. Welcome into my brain. And I will clearly write down all of the things that I do. Please give me any ideas that you have for the granny squares. I do have more fall projects coming up and I will get those to you. And I am getting ready to take a trip and I will be working on my sweater. That's like the only thing that I'm taking with me. Of course, I do have yarn and hooks where I'm going, so I'm sure that I will probably come up with something else. But if there's anything that you are wanting to see, if there's anything that you're wanting me to do, maybe I need to start doing my vlogging and I'll just film as I am crocheting and then I can keep track of what it is that I do. But I hope that you guys are all doing great. Please let me know what you're working on, how things are going for you. I know it's like almost school time for some. Some people have already gone back to school. So let me know what you're working on and I will see you guys next time. Bye.